All right. Fallfire Plain. Oh, is that based on the name of the guy who says it? I'm not saying it's aliens, but it's aliens because he's the conspiracy theorist. Clark says, no, I haven't spoken to the DM. I think this is a big enough storyline that I want to be completely surprised at every turn. Okay, that's opening yourself up to that is I can appreciate that, Clark. It sounds like you're hopefully everyone at your table is having fun. The way you're presenting it, it's energetic. I think people are compelled, and they're really getting into things. I'm super fortunate that you're deciding to share your story with everyone here at our table. Bobicus, the Raven Queen, is lawful neutral god of death, cold, severe, impersonal. Fair and just. Oh, okay. So the alien. I'm saying it's aliens guy. His name is Giorgio Tsoukalos. Oh, okay. I gotcha. See, that works. You know, it's just like we could have named. If you're ever, by the way, as a quick tip to any of you, and you don't know what to name an NPC or your character, look around you, and use what's here. So, for instance, here's a Diet Coke bottle. Name your character Ietco, I-E-T-C-O, Ietco. Well, where did we get that? Diet Coke, I-E-T, and then here I'm doing this in reverse. C-O, Ietco. Ietco, yeah, that's my character's name. Delcorin says Zycam Pepsi. you having an allergy? You have some allergies coming up, Delcorin? Bobicus, like the scales of justice that weigh your heart against the feather to determine your fate after death. Oh, okay. Shavalus, oh, welcome back. It's good to see ya. Welcome, welcome. Dark Wolf is saying TV Wafidi. See, there you go. You're generating fantasy characters on your own, just looking around, seeing what's there. Yeah, hey, Tuesday through Saturday, starting at 11 p.m. Unless I'm sick or something's happening, I'm gonna be here, Shav. Clark says, as far as I'm concerned, that rogue is dead, and Zoe has never given any hint that the wizard even has a brother, much less a brother that died. Oh. Delcorn, Mike TV. See? Characters are springing up out of the woodwork. Here we even have maybe a halfling named Totsi. Yeah, my halfling's name is Totsi. He grew up, there are a lot of corn raised in Totsi's neck of the woods, and Totsi Chichi, right? After the Chichi salsa, Totsi Chichi. He is a very he's no Spicy Larry, but he has a very spicy personality. Oh no, Clark. Well, fortunately, we are receiving what you're typing, so if the internet's acting up, you should still be able to type and we can see it. He's one of the annoying Wonka kids. Oh, gotcha. Allegra Han. See, plus it almost turns into an I Spy with My Little Eye game too, right? Because if that's the theme, and we're like, what's around us that these names are coming from? How do we have Ietko and Tatsi Chichi as like a halfling monk or something? You know, sometimes you can just be, oh yeah, I'm my character's Wendy McDonald. Allegra Han. Nice and easy. See, it's role-playing, as much as we want to think of these great epics, and you know what, they exist, and there's nothing necessarily keeping you from that, but to break through writer's block, or to just get really comfortable, look at something that's around you and you change one thing about it. And often that shift of perspective is amazing, and it can unlock other thoughts and ideas. Melka Tableau. I'm gonna reset my router. Okay, Clark. Well, come back when you can. Here's one. If any of you can, predict where I'm seeing that name, I'll give you some bonus experience points. But anagrams can work. There's all kinds of fun techniques you can employ as a role player to feel inspired and to just get into the mood. All right, so we've been building, right? Every day we've put in a little bit of work, Volvo, if you're still in here, you want to build a world, you're seeing a world built in front of you, one little piece at a time. So now we have our region. We mapped it out in MS Paint of all things. We have randomly generated aspects of each region. And now we say, all right, our challenge is to make a campaign that is decentralized. How do we go about doing that? Okay, hey, all right, so Volvo's here with us. Well, we have to consider what would be the ultimate goal of the campaign. The overarching calamity in this region, as we rolled it, was there's a war between rival thieves guilds. So seemingly, if we can suppress this war, overt or covert, then we are our region will be way more stable. Because right now, that's the big thing affecting the entirety of Fallfire Plain. Each other little region has a smaller fire that needs to be put out. Though the big one, what is the ultimate goal? Well, there's a war between rivals thieves guilds. Those themselves are even rather decentralized, because the BBEG isn't really even after the party. They're after, if we want to say that there's two guilds, there's two guild leaders, and maybe they're after each other, and so the party is just kind of like a shot in the dark, or whatever, like a dark horse, like it's just coming in out of nowhere, and is going to confront them in some way. And then we have all of these other conditions. Well, now let's bring up our brainstorming that we did last night. What can we do in order to win this campaign? It's not going to be a linear railroad tracks ride all the way along through a book or a module. Well, we can discover the cause of the thieves' war and end it. In this case, there are the 4 outcomes. One side wins, the other side wins, neither win, or both win. All of those are win cons. We can do this through a different way, through different ways. Attrition, so that is, kill them to the last man standing. Amelioration. So let's say that we discover one thieves guild says that the other one stole a precious gem. It's worth 500,000 gold pieces. Well, if the war will be called off, if 500,000 gold pieces are generated or the gem is gotten back, amelioration, we're healing, we're making them whole. This is another way that we can end the war. Or we can play the game Diplomacy, which is a reference to a board game that Bobicus was the one who kind of invented this as a suggestion. We can play Diplomacy, and Diplomacy can be had through blackmail, use of force, which can be attrition, but attrition is kill them all to the last man. Force can just be take out their leaders or something along those lines. Or don't kill anyone but blow up their clubhouse kind of a thing. Or we can use bribes. Bribes is not amelioration. This is like kill them to the last man standing, or this is pay every copper piece that's owed. Diplomacy is more of like an acupuncture approach of, we're going to blackmail certain people. We're going to use force on certain people or property. We're going to use bribes on certain people. And we can win that way. As well, this is another major problem. There is racial tension or rivalry between the tieflings and the halflings, particularly the stout halflings, that make up the majority and minority populations in the Fallfire Plain. Now, how can we do that? That is an entire adventure itself. What is causing the rivalry? Is actually the racial tension because of the... Is that a symptom of the sickness of the Thieves Guild? Could it be the other way around? Especially if you look at stats, halflings and tieflings make really good rogues. So it's up to you as the DM in this case to think about, or to work with your party and say, okay, so it's 6 to 1, half dozen the other, but which is going to sound more attractive for this party to pursue? And you know what? If you can solve racial tensions, like you can pull the thorn in the lion's paw, that's a win. Not everything is a kill-em-all, battle of attrition, even with a BBEG. We can also pursue profit, right? Look at this. This region is known for gambling. And we can see that manifest randomly in what each of the other regions are known for. Decadence, strong drink, godlessness, artists and writers, education. Yes, because you can receive an education in stats, in hospitality, and other things that are like casino related. So we can have a profit driven. Can we buy our way out of a dire situation? Yes, you can. Especially if there's not, an evil necromancer that's raising half of the graveyards all over the region trying to, snuff the life force out of the populace. We can try and find profit. And how do we do that? We run a heist. We do an Ocean's 11. We hit the casinos. Because maybe the casinos, as it was brought up last night, are owned by the Thieves Guild. And so we either do it as a third party or we do it to try and balance things out. We can take the approach of, as I said it, that one Star Trek The Next Generation episode where they're stuck in a book, in a casino inside of a book, and they have to gamble to win. Data was a foreign Frenchman in the casino, and he had to win. Like he broke the house. He won so much that they took over the casino, and when they did that, they finished the book. They won, and they were able to leave this alien encampment. So if you have a party that maybe isn't a kill all the thieves in the region style party, and instead they want to play the faces, the sly people, the hucksters, and you want to have this kind of a thing like a Ocean's 11 or a Casino Royale, or you want them to, if they don't want to do a heist, maybe they just try and win and influence their way out, right? They get to know the daughter of the proprietor or the son of the proprietor, or they get to know the proprietor, and they are able to rub elbows in a certain way. Can they use that then, and this affects above, can you win by paying off the guilds? Or do you want to use that money for charity, and you spread the $1 million gold that you won throughout the casinos into charities to help relieve the racial tensions? Something along those lines. Do you want to develop a town? Especially, look, the current calamity going on here in the breadbasket region is an economic depression. If you win $1 million gold out of a casino and you invest that into a couple towns, like, there's some video games that let you do that. Heck, you can buy a house in Breath of the Wild. You could buy a house in Fable. I think you can buy a house in Skyrim. And not even just a house, other property. You want to develop merchants. You want to maybe work on the infrastructure and roads. You can win the campaign because you're benefiting the society in which you're living. Because again, there's not an evil necromancer or a dragon rampaging the countryside. There may be one, but that's not the only problem this place is facing. Sorry, I got a bit on a soapbox. Let me catch up again. Oh, hey, Caden, it's good to see you back. Oh, in Assassin's Creed, you can buy property and you can develop a house and whatnot? Or is that like, what do you, maybe like buy an Assassin's Guild and you develop it and recruit people or something? Peru says, it probably doesn't connect, more a temptation for the sister and an internal conflict for you as well as Lich Spyglass and Audio Bug to open paths for the DM. Perugia, whose side are you on here? Come on now. Delcorin says, I stole nothing and you can prove it. And you can't prove I did. It's Clark says, something I came up with while I was away was that in order to defeat the Draco Lich in a fight the party was losing, Zoe revived the wizard before he himself was downed. I really doubt that has anything to do with the DM's plans or anything, but that certainly adds to the story. Yes, and roll with it. That kind of randomness happens, and you should embrace it and work it into the story so that it is natural. It fits in. Oh, so Caden says you can buy and open shops. Yeah. Yep, and this could very well be, right? If we're presenting a sandbox to our players as the campaign, that's an end, right? The party has set themselves up to be millionaires and are presumably gentle benefactors of the realm. Bobicus, oh, Bobicus reporting from live from the scene. Colville's back again. Tell a friend. And is channeling his inner Eminem. Caden says the result is you gaining wealth, and it affects the area around you, allowing you to purchase better things. Yeah. Caden, are you all healed up from that bit war last night? Like, did you have to pull some shrapnel out? Purpletron, possibility they could take over one of the guilds. That is also true, and also Purpletron, welcome to the conversation. So we have that is taking over one of the guilds could be something like my suggestion of that one, the Next Generation episode, where they're stuck in a book and they gamble to win. Right, they win the casino because they would have won so much that they were able to buy it out. But yeah, if ultimately one of the goals is to discover the cause of the Thieves' War and end it, if you can't beat them, you join them. That could very well be an outcome. Purpletron. Discover the great evil or the coming disaster is foreseen. Remember, in our randomly generated characters, we have Gurdon. Oh, I'm sorry. We have Nike. I suffer awful visions of a coming disaster and will do anything to prevent it. Then we have Helos. My isolation gave me great insight into a great evil that only I can destroy. And lastly, the character that we randomly generated tonight, Giorgio Ascolo. Should my discovery come to light, it could bring ruin to the world. And as well, he does like keeping secrets. 3 of our 5 characters see something on the horizon. You know, or there's a bad moon on the rise. we can play some CCW, or a CCR, Clarence Clearwater Revival, in the background for this. And so, as a DM, right, our character, or English, common, do I speak it? Our players, through their PCs, come to us as DMs, especially because 2 are hermits, and their discovery as a hermit necessitates a conversation with a DM. But we can sit down and say, okay, here is something on the horizon that is bad and can be addressed also. Or we can keep it vague enough that any of these routes, like all roads lead to Rome, right? Well, any of these could lead to the suppression of whatever this bad thing is. Caden says, well, other than the fact I won. And then at the last minute had my throne taken from me by Karma. Yeah, as you can see, Karma the Goat, though, did get a little bit of a spank in here. Sketchben conducted a raid, and we had a couple people join us at our table here, at our game store table, our conversation table, and by following, let alone by donating bits, following also chips away at boss health. So Karma the Goat is is not at 100%. Caden's still a bit salty, yeah. Though it was, oh, he thought it was, there's a bathroom on the right. That reminds me of Goonies. Anyway, Clark says, I really don't remember the last time I've been so invested in a single session as I am in tonight's, and it's because of one item that the DM introduced and then left on a cliffhanger. That is great, Clark. And you know what? I've been feeling that energy too. Like, your storytelling in what's happening here, you're speaking with passion, you're conceptualizing, you're thinking 2 steps ahead, or you're trying to. It's showing. It is showing in your writing, and in Peru's caught onto it, and maybe some of the others who are spectating and chatting or lurking here are also kind of riding this wave, Clark. It sounds like you've really hit a good point for your character and for you as a player to really get invested in what's happening. And hopefully your DM is out there somewhere going, Peru says, I'm mostly on the book side. Uh-oh. So Perugia is more like a puka, like a little like accompanying demon, right? So your Perugia is the book puka. I want someone to use it, maybe write and read it late at night. Yeah, you know, some light reading before bed, you know, just the tome of the stilled tongue. Caden says, kill the goat. Yeah, Sketchband says, no, kill my goat. No, no. Oh, no, Delcorin messaged me on the side. No, I think something like that was in Deep Space Nine too, but there is specifically a Star Trek The Next Generation episode where several characters are caught inside of a hologram that aliens made based on a book that a NASA astronaut had on him when he floated into their territory. And so they thought this is what humans like, and they created this holographic paradise of a cheesy, you know, like casino story with different characters who are kind of like stereotypes. Like there's like the big fat Texan who had a cigar and he was the high roller, and so the characters all got in there. But yeah, I think that there might have been something similar in Deep Space Nine. Of course, that means though that in our casino we need to have a Ferengi. Oh, it's you humans. It's Clark says, I'm on the side of the story. If it adds to the story, I think any outcome with the book is a good one. And Peru, well, Peru is on your side, even though Peru is on the book side. So here, you know, in the twain they shall meet. Oh, very good. Okay, so I'm sorry. Getting back up to what Purpletron was saying, that there's another possibility. You know, can we join that which we don't like? Possibly, and especially with this character that we came up with, the very first character of the week, Alexandria Hunter. She is an abjuration wizard. In fact, she's a pretty powerful one. Though her background was as a charlatan, and you're like, a wizard as a charlatan? What's going on there? As we made the story, well, we randomly rolled that she was a child prodigy. She's only 15 years old. Now, she's a big girl. I mean, she's been able to, you know, to make ends meet. Despite being, you know, a half-elf, maybe a bit of an urchin going on. And through this, we randomly rolled out her personality, her background, that kind of a thing. And we rolled into somewhere out there, she has a child who doesn't know her. I'm making the world a better place for him or her. So what we had said for this character is she was an urchin, right? A young girl kind of living on the streets. She's a con person. She's trying to sell stuff as magical, even though it's not, but she can run a strong con game. And at some point in time, not too long ago, well, maybe a couple years ago, she ended up getting pregnant. And in order to try and provide now for herself and her child, and there's context, you know, if we're thinking back into historical times, you know, anyway, stick with it. I know this can sound like a controversial topic, or if we have new people here who haven't been a part of this character creation or discussion, hold tight. Hold tight. So anyway, here she is. She either has had her child or maybe she's still pregnant, and she tries to break into her now mentor, her wizard mentor's laboratory, his tower or whatnot. Well, she gets caught, and she gets caught especially because this wizard that's teaching her is very strong on abjuration magic. This is defense. This is alarms and wards and things like that. Well, this wizard, who is now her mentor, says, look, you got caught. You shouldn't be doing this. You're going to have a kid soon. You need to provide a better life for him or her. This is what you're going to do. I can just turn you over to the police, and that'll be that. Or I'm going to give you a chance at life. You're going to have your kid, and we're going to put the kid in like a foster home. and you are going to concentrate on your studies. I am going to teach you what it's like to be on the other end of this. And so this wizard took in this young mom, right? She had her child, and the child is, in the possession of another family or something along those lines. And she's studying, like she's getting her GED and her college diplomas underneath this, the equivalents, underneath this wizard who's training her, who's teaching her, yet allowing her to retain this kind of scrappy spirit. And so that's why she still retains some old habits, right? I can't resist swindling people who are more powerful than me. So she's in a game of wits with her mentor, or if she sees someone who's more powerful than her, then she's going to try and pull one over. I pocket anything I see that might have some value. Despite her getting a valuable education, it's almost reflexive. In many ways, think of Arya Stark. I'm not going to give any Game of Thrones spoilers, but there's a point in the story where Arya Stark is out selling shellfish on docks, not as herself, in order to get some information. Well, as we were making this, she is being trained and is working as like an undercover agent, an apprentice for a wizard that she attempted to steal from. Unbeknownst to her, as we were generating the backstory for this character, remember, randomly rolled character, we had no idea what to expect. Yet, are you getting a compelling story from her? Yet this, her mentor, the wizard in charge, actually is like a shadow prime minister in one of the thieves guilds, and he's doing so not necessarily out of like an evil, sinister route, but he said, look, I have these skills. I need to try and rein in what's happening. When thieves guilds go to open gang warfare or assassins guilds, that's when things are getting really bad. And so he is inserting himself very clandestinely in order to control the activity. And so she doesn't know this, but her mentor is using her as a way to infiltrate the guild, to test her, but also to get her into the acquaintances of these people. And that also can create a moral conundrum later if she ever finds out, wait, this man who gave me the second chance at life, who's been providing for me and teaching me, runs the very thing he's sending me in at the possible cost of my life to undermine. Now, this character was made on Tuesday. We didn't get any of this information until Wednesday. Look what happens. You let the story flow through you. You let the randomness happen. You just try and connect a couple dots at a time, a little more, and you build a world. You build a story. You get so involved into it. Story's always the best. Yep, the Royale. Yeah, that's the run, Delcorn. The Enterprise investigates the wreckage of a 21st century Earth spaceship orbiting a distant planet, and the appearance of a casino with inhabitants based on a rather poorly written paperback novel. Yeah, it was very corny. Like, even inside the episode, Picard was on the bridge of the Enterprise and like communicating to the people in the casino. Like in Picard, right? He's a very learned man, and he's reading it, and he's like, "Oh, this book." So yeah, they even made fun of how poorly written it was. It's kind of like it's like a meta story, or has its own lore. Like in Home Alone, there's angels without mercy or angels without wings, something like that. Remember, it's the black and white video of the guy with the Tommy gun, and that's like something that exists inside this Home Alone verse. Anyway, Clark says, I don't know if that means Zoe gets corrupted if it drives a wedge between the wizard and Zoe. If the wizard sides with the Lich King, if the book is destroyed, I just want the story to be progressed as best as possible. Well, make sure you're still taking agency in the story. If you want to try and tap things in a direction, consider it curling, right? You got this big heavy stone and the person throws it down. Well, you're not the stone thrower, but you're one of those people with the brooms. You can influence the direction and the speed of the stone if you wanted as a PC, or again, you could just directly have a conversation with your DM and say, hey, I think this would be a really cool idea. I don't know how you're going to do it, but could you attempt to go in this direction? Caden says, I've made some pretty interesting characters in my day. Well, if you want to share any of those, Caden, please feel free to. I know I'm narrating a bunch, but please, right over here, type them out, share your tales, get other people inspired, compel them. That's what this table and this exchange is for. Peru says, just play the character and the story will come. I feel a bit bad about talking about the book, but I believe you can play on without metagaming the outcome. Clark says, I mean, my DM gave me a card with all information on the book after the wizard used Identify, so I knew everything about it anyway. Don't feel bad. Okay, so here we go. Brofist, right? Nah, there we go. Yeah, it's like one of those noir detective novels. Okay, so anyway, you see how this is, it connects itself. It connects itself. Just trust it. Don't force things to happen. This is a good parallel to what, even to what Clark is saying. We can influence it. We can massage details, and we can maybe like stretch some connections or links, but they're still intrinsically a part there. Now, what are some other things we can consider? Well, what is this great evil that our 3 of our 5 characters are involved in? Is it the Thieves' War? Is there some great old one, or, you know, some external supernatural threat? Because look, there's plenty of sea out here, and including a place where a meteor struck and carved out a piece of the land, let alone down into the ocean bed where we have deep water. This is, so this is like shallow water, medium, and then we get into deep. Do we want something, because there is a great old one pact, like a patron that a warlock can take. Do we want some sort of alien influence? Not a central alien as in a big bad evil guy, because that's not the point of what we're doing. Is there an influence that we can combat? Because also up here, solve the racial tension. There might be Sahagin, and that's because right here there's a new cult that seeks converts. In last week's campaign, we rolled a region that faced the same, reached the same calamity, and we had it be, of all things, Sahagin were showing up in a fresh water producing fountain in a tower about like 500 feet above a lake, a freshwater lake inland. How does that happen? That's a very good question. And in fact, hang on one second. If you want to know how that sort of thing happens, I will show you. Or rather, I will empower you to watch. If you go there, you'll be able to see, how did Sahagin get in a place like that? And by the end of it, hopefully you feel inspired and you're like, whoa, that makes sense. And remember, because we're building a region one step at a time, well, if there was a new cult that sought converts and it was Sahagin in another area of Mesotopia, maybe that's what's happening here. And if we want to go the great old one route, is it kind of like a Dagon cult, like an ancient sea force? And this cult is, you know, coming inland and converting the locals, or influencing them magically or psionically, something along those lines. So that could be part of the racial tension, or it's just, is this a threat that we should put down? And because there's this alien influence, that's what's causing, right? If you're getting mad whispers in your ear and you're guiding a thieves guild, you might pick the wrong target. Or someone might get an itchy trigger finger and oopsie-daisied a light crossbow into someone that they ought not have light crossbowed. Also, weird locale, this is a wild magic zone. And that makes sense. We had a celestial object impact here. This is our wild magic zone. I mean, wild magic can happen really throughout the region, but especially here. What if something is causing this wild magic zone to surge, and it's causing chaos? It's causing chaotic thoughts and impulses, or it's putting strain on economies. And what if we can find a way to, I don't know, set up a containment field? If we contain that and we determine that the wild magic is the source of the region, our campaign is to find a way to harness in or to refine or suppress the wild magic. We've won. We've saved the entire region. Honestly, even probably greater Mesotopia from something like this. As well, look, do you have a party that either just gives up, or they're evil, or they want to take this route because threatening Mesotopia is this external, like, empire force of halflings and tieflings. If you're new to the channel, I know some of this is going to be new information. You got to roll with it that we're carrying a story forward bit by bit by bit. The party could just find some agents that are planted in the region and sell the region out and say, invade us first, here's the weak points, and they'll be handsomely rewarded. If they don't want to knock over a casino, hey, make 500,000 gil by selling out blueprints of the Death Star to, well, to the Empire, right? This is a possibility, though. You got to be prepared for that. That they could just honestly choose to sell out to the Sahagin, to this external empire, to this great old one, something along those lines. So suddenly the campaign is actually an evil campaign of infiltration, extortion, etc. of good people instead of bad guys, generally through thieves guilds. Sorry, I fell a little bit behind here. One of the most interesting ones I've made was a Forged Cleric. I also played him in 4E, so it was a love-hate thing. Yeah, wink wink, I know. I like 4E. So I took the backstory of how Warforged are created and crafted a backstory. Warforged were created by yanking the souls out of a living being and shoving them into inanimate constructs. The result is a being that can function and performs a task, like AI. And Clark's inserting my DM also used a Furbolg I generated tonight as an NPC. Oh, that's cool! Yeah, you know what? I think you were talking about that Furbolg too. You shared that, as you were creating that Furbolg, Clark, you shared him with us, didn't you? What was his name? Oh, I think you gave him a name. But we were discussing how he's like a big lanky nerd, right? He was a druid, but didn't you give him like high wisdom and intelligence? For some reason, that's what's coming through. The entire party was fascinated by a 490-year-old barbarian who's... Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, so you have Conan the Librarian. That's right. That's what it was. Caden says, sometime prior to my story, there was a war of constructs where two factions were fighting against each other to obtain this Magi Forge. There were armies fighting, and as their numbers started to dwindle, each faction turned to their mages to create Warforged to fight for them. Warforged can be fixed, repaired, put back on the field. That is very true. I did something similar as a DM as well, so yeah. I'm with you. Now, another approach, if we don't want to just go after an ultimate goal of the region that we generated, right? So it's known for gambling, it's a site of mythic or magical, there's a war between rival thieves guilds. Well, we can do it by, let's put out the fires in each region, right? If this is a reference to Berserk, if any of you have watched the TV series or read the manga. You know, you have little sparks. A spark alone flashes and dies out quickly. But if you put, you know, sparks together, it creates a big, beautiful bonfire. Well, we can take this this approach of putting out the little fires across the region in order to stabilize it and secure it, and we've won the campaign. And we can do that by addressing, we can foster their strengths. So what they're known for. If we go through and we make each place just a pinnacle in some way of what it is and what it does, we make them really specialized. They can make a better profit. They'll get more tourism. They'll be more stable, something along those lines. Let's foster their strengths. Let's solve each region's calamity. Current calamity, there's a plague or famine, economic depression, a scandal threatens powerful families. And some of these can even tie back into the main overarching plot, right? Suspected vampire infestation. Address its weird locale. Here's a battlefield where lingering fog occasionally assumes humanoid forms, a haunted hill or barrow. If you can somehow either awaken for empowerment or suppress because these are where the bad vibes are leaking from, we've put out 5 fires that were adding sparks to a bonfire, and the bonfire is going to burn itself out. Gain favor with the rulers. Gain favor with the people, who are going to have different cultures and approaches. Bargain with outside countries on behalf of Fallfire, or incite diplomatic war, diplomatic ties, war, or economic pressure from other countries. Or you could just take the Space Marines approach and just cause an exterminatus. Kill them all, and let the gods sort them out. So as we did this, we're discussing, and I wanted to feature one of these options as something we can do to make a dungeon, but not a traditional one. And I figured, well, hey, planning a casino heist if you think about it, that's a dungeon, right? You are in an enclosed area, and you have the possibility of killing people, being killed yourself, stealing things, finding things out. You might gain secrets. You might miss secrets. A casino full of people, including employees, security, and general public, is still a dungeon, thematically. Everything doesn't have to be dark and dank and underground. And that's what I wanted to review. How would we go about making a dungeon out of a casino? How would we make a heist or something along those lines? And we could plot that out and have that discussion. Let me catch up again here. Prue says, that guy doesn't rage when people talk too loud in the library. Yeah, be quiet. Yeah, from Weird Al Yankovic's UHF. Conan the Librarian. Caden said, in the final moments of a raging battle, the cleric was struck down, and as he breathed his dying breath, he was ripped from his body and placed into a warforged body. Full Metal Alchemist, if you will. He woke up sometime later, only it turned out to be hundreds of years later. His sole purpose... Did you mean that as his sole purpose, or S-O-L-E? His sole purpose was to locate the forge and find out what happened to his brethren. In the process, continuing his priestly duties, helping his friends along the way. That is, you know, for a blurb, Caden, that's really cool and compelling. I would definitely love to hear snippets of that campaign. I will, even more than snippets if you want to offer. But, I don't know, hopefully some of you out there are following along in Caden's narration. And Clark's. Clark is going over some really good contemplative stuff, some internal character building. Man, you all are just, you're giving some expert advice out there. Speaking of Clark, the DM went with the route of when he wasn't with his books, he would rage, and when in his library, he was at peace. Ah, okay. So he did want quiet. Oh, also, I'm going to, so the soundtrack we've been listening to is Los Vangelis 3030. But it was brought up that this is kind of a noir thing. There's actually a noir procedural background music that we can put on as we're planning this raid, right? We're planning this heist. Let me find it real quick. Highway, City Under Siege, Lively Cafe. Here we go. All right. So, you all can continue sharing your stories, your characters, your campaigns. I'm going to start making some notes on things to consider for a dungeon in a casino heist. Because remember, we're DMs trying to plot for our party that we've generated in order to go through content and achieve, presumably, one of these goals that we were just talking about. Clark says, my DM has been having a lot of fun in this world, heavily inspired by the Warcraft world, Middle-earth, and a lot of homebrewed aspects too. And you know what, Clark? There's nothing wrong with that. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. To take inspiration from other things that compel you, because if you can place emotion behind it, if you're speaking of something and your eyes widen and sparkle, and you know, if you're speaking with a passionate voice and hand motions and and I did this and that, it's getting people excited. And if everyone expected a completely 100% original fantasy world with every fantasy property that came out, we would all be heavily disappointed. Literally, the BBEG is a character from Warcraft, and we're in the Misty Mountains right now. That's fine. You all are having fun. That's what matters. Are you getting together, having a conversation, eating pizza, or, you know, drinking tea or whatever at the table, telling a tale? That's all you need. Caden says his soul was bonded to the construct, meaning if he died, the construct would die, and if the construct would die, he would die. He was a wooden construct. All your armor was specifically tailored to prevent you from taking fire damage. I was a wood construct. In the process, I could warp and shape wood. I used his ability to, quote-unquote, make a face that would give him the appearance of a human and allow him to pass among normal people. Oh, okay, so if you had a wooden face, but how did, like, what did you do for any, like, the grain of the wood or the shading of the wood, or if you had, like, were your eyes, like, knots in the wood or something? Did you have, like, kind of a Pinocchio nose, or... Dark Wolf says, working on characters now. Friend is going for a drow. Oh, very interesting. And a drow is fine in Curse of Strahd, Dark Wolf. No problem with that. Alright, let me bring up a good resource here. Oh, where is it? Oh, well, heck. Did I not bookmark it? Oh, that's fine. Alright. Anyway. What I was looking for isn't extremely relevant. Oh, by the way, if any of you in here are new and you would like to join us in off-stream, off-time conversation, we do have a Discord. And you can share these stories on Discord as well. If you find fun fantasy-inspired pictures, just to talk with some other RP nerds, that's a good place to do it. Only you played this well before Guardians came out, so you think you're owed some Groot money? Yep. Yep, Dark Wolf, it rhymed. You're a poet and didn't even know it. As a DM, if you're constructing a dungeon, it was built for a reason. It could be an ancient temple to an ancient forgotten god. What was the point of the temple? Think about the layout. Think about the purpose and the point. I brought this up in the dungeon video from last week also. If it's an ancient jungle temple to a forgotten god, did the high priest jump over a spiked pit every time he went back and forth to conduct his presumably regular services? So think about things like trap placement or even the point or the triggers for traps. What was this place? Purple, hey, thank you so much for following along. I really appreciate it. In this case, if we're planning a casino heist, casino is meant to, and here we can now say as DMs, remember that's our filter. We are DMs right now. This is knowledge our players do not have at the beginning. We can talk openly about our casino. And, pardon me, if you have suggestions along the way, throw them out. This is our casino, not my casino. Proves no one thought it was weird, well, how you floated on water. Did the party ever use you as a makeshift raft? Or did the party not know you were a woodman? Clark says, I've never had so much fun in a game as I have with this campaign since I stopped playing hockey. Especially right now as the plot really starts to thicken with this tome and Zoe and the necromancer who was uncharacteristically quiet when the tome was found. Oh, I'm sorry. The necromancer was quiet. I thought she was all like, yeah, it's spells. No, okay. That would pique her interest. And Clark, man, I'm getting your energy. It's radiating to me from Canada. All right. I know Ohio's not that far away, but I'm feeling it. You are onto something. Your group has hit a stride. Your DM has found this really great mix of setting and characters and plot hooks and points. And if you're super stoked and into it, well, you know Peru is. I am too. And maybe there's some people in here, you know, moving along. They're lurking, they're reading. Not that anyone else has to comment, but if any of you do, or you want to ask questions, not just of me, but if you want to interact with Clark or Caden or others who are following and telling their tales, this is a conversation. You're welcome to do so. It's not just the me show. Peru says, well, I never had to cross that bridge. I did drink, but I also had items grafted to my body that would give me some mass to not float. Ah, clever. All right, so the casino, do we need a completely original idea? No. This casino is meant to launder money for one of the rival thieves guilds. It has a good reputation to the public and even funds a local orphanage where kids are recruited into the guild. See, we made an ecosystem. It works. What's at the end of the dungeon? You know, if we don't have some solid gold idol with gems in its eyes, or ancient knowledge, or a sentient sword, or other things that may be common in a dungeon, in a classic dungeon, when our players enter the casino under this, look, we're not leaving until we get out with what we need. What is it that they need here? What is going to be addressed? There could be even multiple goals. One of those goals all right, you remember our definition of diplomacy? Force, blackmail, or bribery. And yes, it can also be diplomacy. Whoops. Right, if any of you have ever seen Pawn Stars, right, it's that very popular pawn shop in Las Vegas, and they get offered all kinds of stuff from around the world, like super rare signed vintage things. They conduct very expensive business. A lot of stuff passes through that store. Well, maybe this casino has something like that, right? Especially if it's a laundering facility, a money laundering facility. There could be a dragon's hoard of magical swords, of gems, of gold, of all this stuff. But there could be just a stash of items and or money, or spells even. And those are just two of the things. There could even be the favor of the guild, an important NPC who might be gambling there. What if a regional governor is in the casino at the time? Now he's there just as a regional governor, you know, kind of gambling and having fun, but if the party could impress on the governor and receive a boon or some kind of other favor from the governor. That's possible as well. Let me see. Caden says it required a lot of thought on my part to determine how you could hide it. That's neat. You did put thought into that. My face was mostly obscured by priestly robes. The lower half looked like my mouth area was covered by a wooden mask, so it'd be a bit easier to hide. But I also had armor pieces that I could graft into my person to bulk up and appear quote-unquote normal. Darkwolf says, I'm making my backup / other campaign character, can't decide between a paladin or a fighter. Well, if you have questions on either of those, you can ask them in here. You can get opinions from me or others if you'd like, Darkwolf. Clark says, the player was really excited. The normally really talkative Celine, the necromancer, barely spoke a word beyond what the book was, and was even reluctant to reveal its origins after having learned of Zoe's deity the session before. Oh, so she was trying to be mindful, maybe. or suspicious. Oh yeah, I guess I can see where this is causing a good cliffhanger. And Clark continues, everyone at our table has some level of an in-character voice to distinguish between IRL and talk. Oh, that's great. That's great that your players are using accents actively. I mean, sometimes we'll slip, or, you know, some people might hold up their hand while they're talking, or kind of like grab their wrist to indicate in and out of character. Clark, if you found a group that's rolling with accents, oh, don't let them go. You've hit the mother lode, Clark. You have what so many of us are looking for as DMs or other players. Peru says, he knows you'd most likely want to destroy it. Yeah, they're hoping to learn some free spells. Damn the consequences. Dark Wolf, first one because the friend is talking Paladin 2. Do they get cantrips? Paladins do not get cantrips. Kitty, oh, Kitty on Paper's here. Oh, snap. Whoa, whoa. Thievery, gold, sniff, lot gold. Ah is in. Give thumb up. The notorious Ah has joined us, everyone. Yep, King is correct. No level 0 spells for pallies. The death. Look, if you're caught trying to pull a heist in a casino, there may be laws of the land. If this is an organized crime racket, are you going to go through an official, you know, judge and jury process? Or are you going to be given some cement shoes and thrown into the bay? Especially if we're doing this on a riverboat, right? We can have a riverboat casino heist. Really easy to hide bodies that way, and you don't have to report to the magistrates. Clark says, we all grew up together and don't care about looking like fools when our accents are very much awful and we're aware of it. That's really cool. Hey, Jay Mulaney. Well, welcome. We are making a dungeon that's not a typical dungeon. This is not an underground, damp, dark place filled with goblins and oozes and you know, pit fires, or fire flame jets and pitfall traps. We are crafting a dungeon that is going to be a casino heist. Because it follows the same elements as a dungeon, it's just going to focus a little differently. Jay Mulaney. I think I'm pronouncing that correctly. So, there is a penalty if they're caught, that the bouncers will... You know, the bouncers may not try and outright kill them, but if you're knocked out, the next thing you know, you could be waking up as you're sinking to the bottom of the bay, if we wanted to have it here, like an Atlantic City style, or if we wanted to do a riverboat casino. There could also be a murder aboard. Oh no, everyone is caught in a riverboat murder mystery, and it just so happens that you're the victim, because you put your nose where it shouldn't have belonged. Jay Mulaney says, count me in. I'm a huge goblin guy. Aren't huge goblins just orcs? I'm kidding. Yep, we are. We're all in on this. We're creatively thinking. Jay, Clark, and Caden are sharing their points of well, it's Clark is talking about a campaign he's currently running, and some super cool stuff has just happened, and Caden is reflecting back on his most favorite character to run, which was a Forged Cleric. Purpletron says, I presume there could be a NPC who could be like the front to the casino, a charismatic that could throw off people who come along asking questions. They could try and gain favor with them. Yeah, that's we can you're 2 steps ahead, Purple. That's good. You're 2 steps ahead, but we can, that is going to be its own little section here. Set up later in the campaign for a crime they didn't commit. They can be kicked out, blacklisted by the guild. That could be major, right? If you want to procure resources, we're in the middle of a place that is having a war between rival thieves guild. That could be big, and also your party could just fail. Though, for this crime they didn't commit, does that ring any bells? Does that ring any bells? Perhaps. Perhaps. Oh, that's right. Hermit background number 3. I was exiled because I was blamed for a crime I didn't commit. This would almost be like a revisitation. This could be a compelling factor why this character of ours would want to perhaps seek revenge or to seek to undermine what is going on in this organized crime racket. Though that could also mean that the party gets exiled. Right? Because organized crime is pervasive, and it just so happens that there are plenty of witnesses that say they were there holding the knife that plunged into a very important person's back. And boy, 10 people just are strolled in at a time and can swear it was those characters that did it. No, don't apologize. Purple. Do not apologize for thinking. If you're 2 steps ahead, that's fine. You're already processing stuff. You're excited. You want to get those ideas out there. Do not apologize for thinking, Purple. You're among other nerds. You're among other thinkers and storytellers and people who get excited by this. We're letting our emotions get influenced by things that technically never have or never will happen, but we're talking about it with the clarity. We're talking with the 4K 3D, 7.1 surround sound, as if we were there in the middle of the combat, or we're there and we're like, this would be a cool idea. Oh my god. You can geek out all you want. Do not apologize for that, Purple. All right? You're cool. Oh, Jesus. Well, hopefully you're able to shoo it out of the way, Crenshaw. Yep, Shavlis is absolutely correct. Also, I don't know if any of you have ever done a murder mystery before. Either you've gone to a show or you've actually participated in it. If so, Moose is talking about, a good mystery and, getting our neurons firing kind of a thing. Think back to encounters like that. Have you read a mystery novel? Have you read actually Casino Royale, which, if I recall correctly, was the first James Bond novel, and I think that's also what ended up being the reboot for the movie franchise. No problem, Purple. You're in good company. Shavlis is absolutely correct, but think back to that. Have you ever seen? Oh, geez. I know that I keep the channel PG-13, and so in the context, this is a movie, the Guy Ritchie movie Snatch, because that's not about a private part, that's about the act of actually taking something. That movie is an excellent heist movie. I mean, we talk about Ocean's 11 or whatnot. That's a heist movie. That movie, and you can even maybe say Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, but that is a really clever movie. You want to talk about a heist movie? Oh, beautiful. Mulaney, I do this kind of thing Tuesday through Saturday. Every week, if you look down below at the weekly schedule, I know there's a lot down there because a lot of those are resources for role-playing. If you look at the weekly schedule, over the course of the week, we make 5 random characters, and we don't just min-max. The stats are really only there to support the character. We breathe life into them, we tell a tale, we create a backstory, we make compelling characters out of randomness. Then, on the side, we also create a setting for them to take an adventure in. All right? We'll make a map, we'll make a dungeon, maybe we'll have some PC or DM advice. And then on Saturday, so tomorrow's broadcast, what we're going to do is we're going to bring the party together, and then we're going to talk like we're all PCs. We're going to go over the characters, strengths and weaknesses, things like that. We're going to talk on that level. Then we're going to take that hat off, and we're going to put on our DM cap. And we're going to say, how are we running this adventure? Let's make a campaign around what we did this week. And so we're getting practice as PCs, as DMs, as map makers, as individual character generators, NPC generators, storytellers. I think I said that twice, but that's fine because that's what role-playing is. That's what we do here. Eventually, I will work in a broadcast game in some fashion that will hopefully be interactive, and we'll go through the region that we're actually fleshing out right now on a weekly basis. And we'll do a campaign set in this world that we've made completely on Twitch, interactive between me and you. Hopefully that answered your question in spades. Yep, not Sunday or Monday, because that is my break from role-playing Peru in order to roleplay. That's when I run my 5th edition campaign on Sunday, and I play Mage the Awakening on Monday. Have I seen Toy Story? Lots of close related things I'm picking up between the two. I don't know if I'm getting your reference. Could you clarify that, Crenshaw? Clark says, I do have a possible endgame scenario for Zoe in mind if everything goes well, but that could still be months away, and it might never be a thing that could happen based on how the story goes. Shavalus comments, how about if the party is caught, the gangsters' evil guild hold one party member hostage, and force the party to do quests on the evil guild bidding, creating a situation where the party members might have to do things that might conflict with their values in order to save the party member being held hostage. That isn't necessarily a bad idea, Shav, though I would replace PC member with maybe an important NPC. Because if you think about it, so Shavalus, let's say I'm DMing this, and there's there's you and 4 other people who are sitting at the table. Shavalus, I tell you that I've captured you and I'm holding you in a back room in the casino. Now, it's up to the other 4 to do my bidding. What are you going to do at the table as the 4 other players are having fun and solving a mystery, and you're just sitting there going, oh, that's cool, or, oh yeah, well, I mean, tell me when you rescue me. Yeah, I'm still here. I'm not leaving, but, I mean, I'm not doing anything. I'm just tied up to a chair. Yep. Mm-hmm. Oh, was that... Oh, that wasn't me? Okay, never mind. So you get what I'm saying, Chev? So it would have to be someone else because we want to involve our players. Generally as DMs. We want to involve them and we want to provide them agency within the world. That they can act and make decisions. And so if I were to just strong-arm you as a PC and throw you in a broom closet until people met my arbitrary demands, you as a player might not have fun. Especially if I just drop that on you. Now, if we colluded as a DM and as a PC, maybe we could work something out. Oh, yep, Caden, I already got there. As a PC, that person might be able to try and escape the intention. That is possible, but remember too, Caden, if there's only one DM, I can't split my attention easily. Which means that I'm either focused on you trying to escape out of the closet, out of like the broom closet where you're tied up to a chair. And in so doing, we go through an hour narration of you kind of Indiana Jones and the Crusaders of the Last Ark, you know, with Indy and his father tied up to the chairs and falling over and doing all that. Meanwhile, we have 4 players off to the side of the table going, oh, is he out? Okay. Oh, that was a good idea. Yeah. Oh, look at this picture, isn't it? Meanwhile, I focus on our 4 players trying to accomplish the Mafia's errands, and you're going, okay. Because I can't really split my attention as a DM between both parties without excluding it. So as much as we can to still keep a cohesive story, I try and favor keeping the party together. And not even for the meme of don't split the party. It's a meme for a reason. It's good advice for a reason. There are deeper, significant aspects to that advice, though. Mulaney said, oh, so Mulaney, do you and Crenshaw know each other then? In the case of Toy Story, they rescue Woody. Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Okay, I see what you're saying now, Moose. Thank you for the clarification. Sorry if I was just misreading. A lot of you are talking and are really excited and throwing ideas out there, so maybe I crossed a wire somewhere. Yep, Shavelis, you are correct in your sentiment towards Purpletron. No, Moose. Hey, just like Purple. Just because you're getting excited over an idea or you're 2 steps ahead of what I have on the screen, do not apologize for being a thinker. Don't apologize for being a storyteller, for making connections, for finding passion, for taking something that you're familiar with and maybe challenging it in a separate way. That's perfectly fine. You know, you're in here, you're contributing, you're staying within my broad, hey, keep it PG-13. You're wanting to help and add to the conversation. There's absolutely no apologies that are necessary. Caden, I wouldn't recommend splitting the party. You could also play the part with the kidnapped person outside the game. Yes, that is true too. You know, so that could be, you know, so you couldn't make it, Caden, and you text me and you say, oh yeah, I'm not going to be here, and I say, all right, I'll tell you what, you know, don't tell the rest of the party, but I'm going to have you kidnapped and held hostage. You're not going to be here anyway because you're sick or, I don't know, family emergency or something. I'll tell you what happens. I just need your consent to kidnap your character for the sake of the story. And if you grant that permission to me as the DM, not because I have to ask, but because I want to ask, which makes it all the more meaningful. If you say, yeah, I trust you, go ahead and do that, then you can focus on what you need to do. Our 4 party members are together. They're getting through their errand list or the rescue operation. And then, hey, at the end, they rescue you. And then at that point, heck, I as a DM wouldn't even tell you what happened. You show up next week to the session, I'm going to have the 4 party members fill you in on exactly what happened. Because in character, you wouldn't have known anyway. And it's good hearing it from the people who did it. Now, everyone is together. Everyone's involved. We're all in the same story. Everything is holistic. And it doesn't feel ham-fisted. It doesn't feel contrived. It's not forced. I'm not forcing you as a character into being kidnapped or into a situation that excludes you. Everyone wins. Opa! Oh, okay, Mulaney. I get your comment. Yep. Clark is continuing talking about his tiefling cleric of the Raven Queen named Zoe. If there's a conflict between Zoe and Celine is a wizard necromancer that is in his party, if any of you are just joining us, whether that's from the tome or otherwise, and somehow along the way Zoe learns of Celine's brother and the Lich King is defeated, and with the Raven's Queen blessing, after defeating the Lich, Zoe could insist on returning to Dale, where Celine's brother was buried. Clark, punctuation, out of breath. Where Celine's brother was buried and could cast a true resurrection spell on her brother, reuniting the twins. That is possible. I will tell you, your DM may very well allow that. Keep in mind, though, Clark, if you're serving the Raven Queen, would something like resurrection really be something you'd want to cast or pursue? Because death is supposed to be there for a reason. Death is supposed to exist for a reason. To be powerful for a reason. I, as a DM, am very, very stingy on the ability to do any kind of resurrection in my own games. Finality is finality, right? I'm wearing a comic book t-shirt. You see this guy here? He's supposed to be dead. Is he? No. No, he's not. Now, I mean, as a fan, as a person who, you know, who runs a game and comic store, I have my gripes with that. But think about the, think about the finality. Think about the thematicness to the Raven Queen, who is finality, fate, death. You know, this end of life process. So. I mean, then again, I also don't allow for extra dimensional spaces like bags of holding, or I don't play with alternate planes like the plane of fire, or, you know, Abaddon, or things like that. Peru, that's, yeah, it's good, but very conditional advice, and really it should be at everyone's acknowledgement if that's going to happen. In the best situation, and in my opinion. Caden says, it's hard to explain, but through this, you have a group of people. They decide to offer up one of their guys as a means to get someone on the inside. They come up with this plan that the captured will trigger an event that could allow them to get into the base. Yes, so Caden, if we roll with that idea, I think we can plot this out. Allow them to get into the base and take her plan or whatever the quest might be. Bubonic, hey, you've been lurking tonight. The cold rain from last night gave you a cold. Oh, I'm sorry to hear. But still, I'm sure the person was thankful that you showed up to help put out that grease fire. If anyone here is new, Bubonic is a firefighter, and he had to go on a call last night. Dark Wolf, we're multitasking, so we're only noticing most out of context phrases. I just need you to consent to... Oh, yeah. I just need you to consent to me kidnapping your character. Yep. Caden, the captured would play out their own on little side quests, not with the group, so that the group meets again. Yeah. And so, all right, you all you're on top of this. We have ideas. I actually need to keep up because it's not even so much now you're 2 steps ahead, but I'm falling behind because you guys you're pounding this out. You are coming up with great ideas and you're involving the characters and great thought. Del Corin, oh, lots of water. It's, you know, you spread it thin and, don't do that, everyone. What was it? Salt and baking powder if you can't cover your burning grease dish. Yep, you know, Purpletron, we have a lot of different people in this channel, and I feel so fortunate. In my game store community, I have people of all different makes and types and backgrounds, educations, vocations. You learn so much from everyone else who comes out, and it's great. It's great to step back and say, this is uniting so many people that maybe under other circumstances never would have met before. And here we are, we're meeting each other, we're getting to know each other, we're treating each other as peers, despite all the crap that separates us outside of the game store or outside of the game or our dinner table, wherever we're meeting. All that, you know, BS falls to the side. And here we are as communal storytellers, as friends, as peers, as equals, as people who just want to spend time together. Delcorin, huge frayed towels. By the way, like dry towels too. Or even like frayed, you know, like ones you don't mind, like if they get a little burnt, like maybe some used grease rags. Jeez. I think if you ever had a grease fire, you could throw the pan in the trash. That's where you put everything you don't want. Yeah, you just get rid of it, Caden. Jeez. Bubonic's probably rolling his eyes here at us. Throw the fire out because it's burned and nobody likes burnt things. Yeah, you serve me burnt fire. Oh, gosh. No fun allowed. What are we doing? All of you out there in Twitch land, in the audience, you're having way too much fun and conversation. What is this? This is Twitch. Ugh, flip desk. It's located in Sandusky, Ohio, Shavelis. So who's here to talk to? This is getting back to, I believe, what Purpletron was bringing up. We have, and this can even tickle this, is there an important NPC? There could be major government, religious, that happens. I mean, whether we're making commentary on religion or not, or economic players, independent of the Thieves Guild. Employees that may be able to provide info or leads. This could be the bouncer who is wooed by a character. This could be maybe, you know, a guy who's, you know, right near retirement and he's tired of covering up. He spent a whole lifetime employed by these people, and he's learned about all the things that they've done. And here he is, like, he's the old man dealer at the table. Everyone's gathering around playing Three Dragon Ante, which, by the way, is a game you can actually buy. If you want to be meta and play Three Dragon Ante in D&D as kind of a poker equivalent, you can do that. It's a lot of fun. But maybe he's the casino's oldest Three Dragon Ante dealer, and the players are doing well or making conversation, and he's like, this is my last day. Why don't you come out back and I'll tell you a couple things as a parting gift to my employers. You know, they gave me this golden watch, but even that I think is fake. You know, he kind of like bites it or something. You can have a little humor. But the employees can give them access to places or information. Talking about schedules, right? If we want to plan a heist, we need to know, hey, security moves money from a table to the vault room every hour and a half. Now, in this case, how do we tell time? Maybe there's a water clock. Maybe there's an actual, like, a gear clock, something like that. Don't forget also, there could very well be customers from all over the place in here. Whether we want to set this on a riverboat, like a riverboat casino, or we want to make this land-bound, like, you know, just whether it's like a smaller Indian reservation or like a Las Vegas style, or we want to do an Atlantic City, it's right on the ocean kind of a deal. You'll get customers from all over. You want to learn what's happening. Let's say our casino's here, right, in this city on the peninsula. We could still have customers from all over the region, let alone the other countries, the neighboring countries. And they can be here and help feed the PCs important or not important information. Don't turn down the common folk. That's one of the win conditions that we even established for this place, right? Just gain the favor with the people. If you can make the people happy, is there a problem? Maybe at the top, but if the problems are perceived to come from the top, oh, you know, what, we don't have to say off with their heads, but, you know, kick the bums out, you know, or elect them out, or however it'll go in this situation. Also, confiscation. Maybe even jail. That's kind of a game end. Clark says, in terms of the Raven Queen and True Resurrection, I was thinking squarely endgame. At the end of the campaign, after defeating the BBG, who would be very much an enemy of the Raven Queen, Zoe would ask the Raven Queen if it would be possible to resurrect Celine's brother. This would be Zoe stepping way out of his comfort zone, as he isn't a fan of even using cure wounds if it's not an absolute necessary. Well, I mean, Clark, however you want to square that circle, I think that's a big moral decision. Maybe you could even argue that is your last boss. You could fight the Lich. He's an enemy for sure, but the last boss of your campaign is how you're gonna square that circle. Are you gonna approach the goddess of death and finality and ask for a true resurrection? Ooh, Zoe would be trying to, you know, kind of square up, and he has some testicular fortitude, to put it politely, to do that, and we'll see what happens, right? Nope, it's fine, Bubonic. Shaft says, I grew up in Cincinnati. We used to go to our local hobby shop called Wanna Play. I think I've heard of that place. I know Yotta Quest, Y-O-T-T-A, Yotta Quest was down there, but I read that they closed a couple years ago, and I'm like, whoa, what? That was a really venerable and well-known store in the area. Every Saturday morning looking for the new Gary Gygax modules or lead figures. Oh, like the Ralpartha lead minis? Oh, that's good stuff, Shav. Oh, you're talking my language here. That's really cool, though, and I'm glad to meet a... well, if you're not in Ohio now, you don't have to reveal where you're at, but if you're not in Ohio now, it's good to meet another Ohioan. Although, I wasn't born in Ohio. Shh. I've just lived here for a very long time. If it just says creatures, it could be yourself. Peru is lucid. Peru is a halfling that has bravery. Advantage versus being frightened. Peru can always think straight. Fire tornado, not a problem. Oh, and Shavlis moved to California. Got it. Okay. Okay. So we've made some defining elements for our casino. We have we can get our PC into this in a lot of different ways. And I believe it was Caden that said, well, maybe someone goes in and, you know, scouts around, maybe even acts as a plant. And you know what? It just so happens we have a wonderful young lady who would be willing to go into an organized crime racket and get herself captured in order to infiltrate them. So we have our wonderful wizard, abjuration specialist, named Alexandria Hunter. And being a charlatan, she's rubbed elbows with the not right people for some time. And so in here, that is true. This could be some sort of an alternate condition where she is captured and she, you know, if she's young, right? She's 15. So they just say, look, whoa, Journeyman, welcome back. You came just in time. We've been planning a casino heist, so don't tell anyone. But we're making a dungeon instead of a classic dungeon that's filled with, you know, orcs and mold and rats and stuff. We're making a dungeon that's a casino heist in order to go along with the campaign that we're manufacturing this week. So, welcome. Oh, Kitty, no, that's cool. We fit. That is a fun program. And your legs are dead, but you know what? You didn't skip leg day, did you, Kitty? So if you can, just sit back, you know, put your feet up and enjoy. Yep, that's what we're doing. A kind of we're doing a casino heist in order to go along with the theme of the campaign. And we're conceptualizing what we want the casino to be, right? We're DMs, we're plotting, we have our thinking caps on. We're talking with each other as having full knowledge of the dungeon, because we should have it, not as PCs. So everything we do is going to be built around this core concept of the casino. It's meant to launder money from one of the rival thieves guilds that are currently warring in the region that we've made here. And Journeyman, you can see that I've used the full suite, well, not the full even, but I've used every skill that I have in MS Paint to create a beautiful visual for my players. Yeah, you know, Journey, we're talking about Ocean's 11, Snatch. We also, we brought up another one, I thought, too. What was, Casino Royale. That kind of stuff. Now, what are the win cons for our casino? Well, we can get info on the guild in order to apply diplomacy, and that's in quotes because diplomacy can be bribery, force, or blackmail, as well as diplomacy. We could find a safe full of loot, and we take off with all the money. We can also just win the favor of the guild or an important NPC. For instance, they might rub elbows with some major player in the region. They might be able to talk to the guy who's going to retire and he's sick of fronting for an organized crime unit, and he gives them information, but only after they've, you know, entrusted themselves with, or that they've ingratiated themselves with, you know, old man dealer who's this is his last hand of 3 dragon ante that he's playing. There's also customers from all over the region that they can get information from. A dungeon is not just a confined underground space. If the team makes a plan to go in here and say, we're not leaving until we get out with X, Y, or Z, that's a dungeon. Because you know what? If an organized crime route finds someone rooting around in their vault, suddenly they're going to get some cement shoes, and if this is an Atlantic City, they're going to plop into the water. Is this a riverboat casino? Ooh, riverboats. Splash. Death is real here. Fights are real. And you know what? If an organized crime unit is running a casino, you better believe that you might even be set up for a crime you didn't commit. Accidents happen. You know, it'd be a real shame if something were to happen. What about Die Hard 2? Oh yeah, the Star Trek Next Generation episode where they're caught in a casino that was generated out of a really poorly written novel. Danger Unicorn has not been to a stream like this before. Well, I'm glad you're digging it. Out of curiosity, Danger, how would you classify this stream? This isn't a baited question. That's not like, oh, does my onion dome hat make me look fat? I mean, I already know that it makes my head look a little plump, and possibly me looking silly. Riverboat would be legit, would make an easy way to move stuff from one place to another. Yep, OP, you are absolutely correct. You've sadly got to call it for a night. Okay, Peru, hey, thank you for following along, and you know what? It was really cool of you, Peru, to give Clark feedback on his Tiefling Cleric character. For those of you who are joining, a couple other people in chat have been sharing their own experiences at the tabletop. Clark is just narrating a game that he finished this evening, and it left off on a cliffhanger. It really has him psyched up. And Caden was talking about a really compelling, actually also a cleric character, Warforged, or an automaton, effectively. That was his favorite character to run of all time. So you are welcome. This isn't a soapbox where I'm lecturing to you. This is a conversational platform. It's kind of a talk show, I guess you could say. And you're welcome to ask questions if you don't know the term of something or you want me to repeat something. Ask questions of me. Ask questions of fellow chat members. This is totally for us to have fun, relax, tell a story, and get our creative juices flowing. Everything you're seeing up here has been made on the back of random number generation. We exposed ourselves to random numbers, and now we are connecting the dots that are up there. You can do it. It's easy. By being a human being, you're a storyteller. That's all you need. Well, having MS Paint helps too. And maybe a word processor. In this case, it's OpenOffice. So I'm trying to make this as accessible as possible to as many of you as possible. Because hopefully you have a Paint program, and you can certainly for free download OpenOffice in order to create a campaign world. Fungus Among Us. Oh, you haven't been to a stream like this either. Well, welcome to you as well. And I thank you of all the channels you could be hanging out in and spending time. If you're lingering in here after a raid, that really means a lot to me. And I hope to be able to give you dividends back on the time that you're spending here with enjoyment. And you know what? If you click follow, I want to know that I've earned that follow, not just that you're doing it to do it. Social graces are nice, and I know that there's Twitch etiquette. But if you're following this channel, I want to make sure that you're doing it because it's compelling. You really believe in what we're doing here. Not that I expect attendance every night, because, oh, geez, wouldn't that be something? But I want to make sure to entertain you, because I realize you could be anywhere right now. It's Friday night. What are you doing here, nerds? You're sitting at a game store table talking to a dude about a casino heist run as a Dungeons and Dragons module. Danger Unicorn is another amazing artist from England. Oh, cool. All right. Well, I will make sure to humor you by giving my villains a very bad English accent. Because isn't that what happens? And you know, if you're getting some space English, they're the evil empire. It's all right though. I have strong Welsh heritage, so my heart lies across the pond. Yes, OP. The casino heist will be a fantasy adventure, so we will need to make sure that we keep things like magic and magical effects in mind as we're plotting this out. Clark says, my DM also gave me a cloak of flying and gave it black bird wings. Oh, you gotta love the flavor if you're a fan of the Raven Queen. You exposed your random number generator once. It's how I met my wife. Really, Caden? That sounds like an interesting... you can't just say that and leave that dangling, Caden. Yeah, how did this happen? If you're willing and comfortable to talk about it in chat. Do I run games through Twitch? Asks Fungus Among Us. I've never played, but I have been wanting to since you started watching Journeyman. I don't currently, however, I will once we finish fleshing out this, not this particular region, but we made a campaign setting that is kind of Mediterranean based. There are 6 countries around kind of an inland extension of an ocean. And this is currently Region 3 this week that we're filling out. And every week we make 5 random characters, we give them compelling backstories, and we create an adventure every week as a challenge to ourselves. When we finish that up, we'll have a developed region that we've made in-house here on Twitch in a community conversation. And I am considering running, making one of my broadcast nights a week as an adventure set in Mesotopia here. So that's a stay tuned. OP, I see. What sort of magic does the casino take to prevent theft? So interestingly enough, this will be abjuration magic, which our wizard is a pro at. And maybe some divination magic too. I followed for the fresh guacamole from Barovia. That's true. So Delcorn doesn't like guacamole. So guacamole is salsa from Barovia, which is a very haunted place. Okay, Journeyman, no problem. Eat well and come back when you can. Axel, nerds rule the world. That's right. You know what? I saw Ready Player One tonight. It was a lot of fun. It wasn't quite the book, and I'm okay with that? Question mark. Worth the price of admission, and if you don't want to pay the extra price for 3D, you should be able to get away without seeing it in 3D. The 3D was okay, but it wasn't really made for 3D, in my opinion. But yeah, Ready Player One was a lot of fun. So speaking of nerds and nostalgia, right? Yeah, Danger Unicorn. Uh-oh, bad English accents. It'll come out in some point in time, I'm sure. You gotta roll with it. Axel is asking for a res, please. No, we couldn't afford the full job, so we kind of had to do it hastily. You come back as a male human sorcerer. Seems good. You know the lead used to prevent... lead used to prevent divination spells. Yep, that's true. Different thicknesses of wood, metal, or especially lead. There's going to be a lot of lead, like foil, lining places. That is true. American Pie wants a res also. I think you might need to wait on a global cooldown. Fungus Among Us, thank you so much for joining us. That is awesome of you. Thank you for the follow. Yeah, lead doesn't float very well. So instead of concrete shoes, you might end up with lead box shoes, right? If it were on a riverboat. But if there's a room in the boat that was lined in lead, that is absolutely true. That's probably where the vault and some other things are kept. There's also anti-scrying spells and some counter magics that can be put to work too. Fungus, you seem like a great DM. I'd love to play with you guys through Twitch if you end up doing that. Well, Fungus, stay tuned. I would like to... How to put this? I don't know if it's possible to do a Twitch Plays Dungeons and Dragons. I certainly don't have the programming skills like what the guys over at Twitch Plays Pokemon have. Though, I mean, it'll probably start out as a traditional 5-6 people. We'll go through the Roll20 virtual tabletop, and I will continue to stay interested, and I'll keep my options open into what we can do in order to maybe facilitate you all going on adventures in kind of a simultaneous fashion. That's really all I can say right now. I mean, not legally, or something. I don't have a gag order on myself, but I want to be careful about how I'm presenting what I'm doing here and not setting unreasonable expectations for the future. I'm a very slow, steady, methodical person. You know, I'm the aircraft carrier. I carry massive, firepower and bulk and whatever, but darn it if it doesn't take me 2 days to turn 90 degrees. You want to create a Renaissance-themed campaign based over in Italy in that area? That'd be easy enough, Caden. Historical role-playing is easy, even within D&D. Now, your players might say, oh, well, that means I can't play a sorcerer. True. You still have a lot of options if you want to run a low or no fantasy setting in Dungeons & Dragons, let alone some other campaign settings or RP systems. Yeah, there's a global cooldown. Here, by the way, we had a nice raid. We're also nearing a break point for me. I'm gonna have to get some more tea because I've been talking a lot. I haven't typed as much as I was hoping to, but that's perfectly fine. You all are so full of energy and ideas and questions, and it's awesome. You are, I mean, you're making my onion dome here. Just, yeah. But we're gonna add points to you all for being awesome and energetic. This will also allow you to play some of the fun mini games that we have in the stream, and they're roleplay prompts. They're things to get you familiar with very basics of D20 based combat, things like that. You know, you can have fun. You can duel each other. You can battle, etc. Tycho, by the way, Tycho, welcome. And yeah, a Twitch plays D&D. Difficult, improbable, not impossible. Like, I could see it work if it was just one character and a campaign crafted to a single individual character, but still difficult. You know what? This room is full of nerds. I guarantee you we can make it happen. Actually, I don't live too close to Amish country here in Ohio, but there is an expression that, you know, the Amish can build a rocket to go to the moon. It's just that, you know, they don't have the materials, or they don't have like the governmental constructs for it. They'll find a way to do it. If you give them, you know, if you do give them time and materials, the Amish will make you a rocket to go to the moon. But it's just how. Anyway, I think you get what I was going for. I think I botched that old adage. Have I ever seen the AEG Toolbox books? If you like RNG, those are amazing. I have not heard of those, OP. I'm gonna make a note real quick. AEG Toolbox. There we go. You almost thought about doing an RPG version of Assassin's Creed. I think that would very well lend itself to that, Caden. Aircraft carriers are fast, straight out 30 knots for the newest Gerald Ford class. Well, I mean, maybe modern ones powered by nuclear engines, but still, you know, if you need like half a dozen tugboats at least to help you turn and to keep you going in a straight direction when you're not in the open ocean. Guess you need to watch more American Pie. Got to reset your router. Oh, Clark, the Canadian internet strikes again. Bubonics hooking up American Pie. All right, that's cool. Yeah, there are user cooldowns and global cooldowns on some of this. You can see where I'm. All right, as long as you can at least you know, see where I'm going with that. You know, given enough time and enough talent, you know, put together, we can think about things with practicality. We can tackle this as a community, because the Amish are a community. That's fine. And plus, you know what? There's that adage of if you wanna go to the moon, aim for Mars, because even if you fall short, you're on the moon. I may be aiming for Mars with this kind of a concept, but you know what? Whatever we develop out of trying to reach there, we're still going to be on the moon, and that's a pretty impressive view. I'll take that view. The physical copy of AG Ultimate Toolbox is 200 bones, but the $60 price tag for the PDF. I'm sitting behind the screen. That is my Bible. Well, that's good information, OP. I did pull it up in a separate tab on my other monitor here, so I'll make sure to take a look at it. I don't know if is that 200 even to a retailer? Because I own a store, so I'd be buying it direct, or is that the consumer price? Oh no, Fungus. It's alright, Fungus. Why don't you just duel American Pie or someone and try and get some of their points? Plus, there's some dungeons you can go through as well. I'll tell you what, though. I've been talking a lot, and I know I prompted the idea of a casino heist, and we'll flesh out ideas here. I need to go take a quick break. I will be back. I'm gonna have a big pitcher full of iced tea. Oh, some nice lemon iced tea. And we'll still talk, we'll still have fun, I can answer questions, and we'll go from there. OP says, I don't know if you can get it anymore, maybe out of print. If you can get a better price as a retailer, please let me know and I'll buy it from you. Well, I'll look into it, OP. Uh-oh. Fungus is dueling American Pie. American accepts. And American wins the duel. Do, 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 do. Oh, that's great. All right. Here, I'm going to... Don't worry, Fungus. Just lurk a little bit more, and you'll replenish some. And if you want to duel people for honor, if you don't put in an EXP value, it'll just be a challenge for nothing. Anyway, here, I'm gonna drop you off at the tavern. You can enjoy some of the the roasted pig or the fresh sliced the meat down there. You can pet the doggo that's in the lower left hand corner, or just enjoy the music. But I will be back, I don't know, 5 minutes at least, 10 minutes at worst, and we'll continue the conversation that we are having.